true, but meaning they want a Jewish turnout so that it makes the Jews more powerful. The frum makes them more powerful. That happens regardless of who we vote for, right? Isn't that the way? That's the way I understand it. Yeah.
At least that's what they tell us when we vote.
Well, yeah, that's true, but I think that makes sense, doesn't it?
I don't know.
They're not supposed to know who we vote for first.
No, they don't have to know who we vote for. They just know.
These people
They
show
got to
up.
ask the Bikiyim. Yeah. Okay.
Officially, they're not allowed to know who you voted for.
Correct. It has nothing to do with that.
Right.
But they know. They
Right.
know that. I mean, you can read
They
that.
know what neighborhoods. They know what neighborhoods voted a lot. They know what neighborhoods to concentrate on. When
Yeah,
they're
but they
trying
could
to get
see.
reelected.
They could see who voted. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go. So we're up to the Mishnah. Right? We got to the Mishnah Yudal base.
Yeah, I had a good laugh this when I was listening to the doc when you talk about Sesame Street. I don't know why,
And nobody, I made that joke, and nobody laughed. Nobody, I don't know if anybody got it or nobody was paying
Why?
attention.
We got it.
I was laughing this morning though.
I thought it was a pretty funny joke.
Which one?
Nobody liked my joke. Okay.
I enjoyed it. I listened this
Avrami
morning.
left on the recording.
Exactly.
Avrami, I appreciate you telling me that.
I happened to be. I was going to text you. And I'm like, you know what? You're probably busy. I'm not going to waste your time.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that the beginning? I can't remember.
What?
Which joke?
What's that? Shaeila? Maybe repeat.
Well, I'll repeat the joke for the locals here. The locals, the in-persons, don't because it said ha, ba, la, da.
Now, whoever's listening, you better laugh.
Oh, you said you feel like you're
That was at the
Sesame
beginning. I came late.
That was yesterday.
That was
That was yesterday. You don't
Avrami
remember?
couldn't have
I
listened
remember
to
it.
Avrami couldn't have listened to today's daf this morning.
I remember the joke last night. I remember.
Very
I was
good.
up.
Very impressed. Or maybe I shouldn't be impressed. I don't know what. Okay, well, thank you, Avrami. I appreciate it. Okay, so Zog the Mishnah, yeah? As we continue with all these different lashonos, yeah. So the Mishnah says, Kainam, if he says, Kainam Shani Yashan, he says, I'm making a neder, right? Kainam again is a lashon of a neder, that I'm going to sleep, meaning it's confusing because kainam means I'm not going to sleep. So meaning he makes a neder that I'm going to sleep, meaning I'm making a neder against myself going to sleep, meaning I'm not allowed to sleep. Shani medaber, and that I'm not allowed to talk. Shani mahalach, that I'm not allowed to talk again, even though the translation shani mahalach means that I'm walking, and shani medaber means I'm sleeping, but he's saying kainam before that. Kainam means I am not going to do that. So that's the first case. And then ha'ima, with which these three things are obviously impossible. Well, I don't know about the talking, right? But the walking and the sleeping is a basic need of a human. You can't just make a neder against. I mean, you can make it, but it's going to be automatically a problem. You're gonna break that neder. Fine. So that's the first three cases. And then ha'ima leisha, a guy tells his wife, kainam shani mishamshach. I'm making a neder that I'm not going to be together with you. All of these things are going to be over on lo yachal devari, which means that a person should not make his words chulin. He should not make his words, meaning you have to keep your word. So in these cases, it's not going to be that he's keeping his word. All right, now the question that the Gemara is going to ask in tomorrow's daf is, well, actually, maybe it's today. We'll see. Is why doesn't it just say that it's a hareza neder? The last Mishnah said it's a neder. Here it doesn't say it's a neder. Here it says, oh, you're going to be over on not keeping your neder. Okay, I'm saying, but that's the same thing. All you have to do is say it's a neder, and we know if you're not going to keep it, then it's not going to be that you're not going to be keeping your neder. Okay, we'll have to see. So the Gemara says itmar. So we learned kainam eini hishina hayim. What's that?
Yeah, where are we?
I'm on the wrong daf. I'm on the wrong
Yeah,
daf.
I'm looking.
Where are we?
We're on
I am in the
tomorrow's
wrong-
stuff.
I was embarrassed. Like
I didn't want to say anything either because I came on a few minutes
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, I'm looking at it,
I
I'm
was like,
saying,
are
this
we
is
doing the wrong daf?
I'm
And I'm
looking
like,
at.
this is not what we learned this morning.
Yes, I'm looking. I'm saying this is the wrong daf.
Yaakov, I think you're on the wrong daf.
Myself.
Thank you, Peretz.
Didn't we stop
Listen,
here
as long as
yesterday?
anybody gets Sesame Street, that's the main thing.
We stopped here yesterday.
We stopped by the Gemara. Yeah, I thought we stopped by a Mishnah, so I looked at that daf, and that's what it was. I apologize. I'm sorry. Everybody should forget what we learned.
Re-record.
Forget what we learned until tomorrow. Okay, good. Forgot.
Avrami, subtract 5 minutes from the time that you asked me the time from when you got off. Okay.
No, tonight I should be on the whole time. I'll play both tonight.
Why don't you hit re-record?
What's the difference? They should be part of bloopers. Bloopers should be part of Busha. Anyways, okay, I apologize. I'm wiped out from voting, which I tell you.
Where was it? Where did you have it? An Excel.
Yeah.
The best part is I'm telling us, why? Where'd you have to go vote?
Hey, don't worry.
No, I
I
had
actually,
your place.
by the way, I actually got into trouble by the voting because I was schmoozing with Avrami's father outside in one of those poll security people because I guess he copped that his father is a poll, an Askin. Says, hey, you're not allowed to stop and talk to them. You gotta keep moving. So, I whatever. I don't know
Okay,
what.
Yaakov,
I could just
Rucky was
imagine
asking
what my father said.
Rucky was
What
asking,
is it?
you here already?
Serious?
Chutzpah, yeah.
What happened?
That's it. That is. Anyways, okay. So Vaitim. So again, yesterday I apologize. So we started the new parak yesterday. For those that want to make a l'chaim again on the siyum, so go ahead. But we said that.
Middle of pouring.
So we said that you're not allowed to a neder from something that's totally assur is not allowed, meaning it doesn't work. A neder that's something that's totally assur is not allowed, meaning not allowed. It's not a neder. So if you make a neder that meaning you make a neder and you say that this food is to me like avodah zarah, so the avodah zarah is always assur, or if this food is to me like a nevel or treifa, that's always assur. But then in the end of the Mishnah, it said the Mishnah said a similar case that a guy tells his wife, "You're going to be to me like my mother." So there we don't just say it's not a neder. We say that he has to actually, he has to go to a rabbi and have the rabbi nullify it or give him a pesach to nullify it, and we're going to see why it is. That's going to be later on in the daf. Why it is that we don't just say that the neder is not a neder. But the main point is that you have to use a net in order to make a proper neder. You have to use a terminology of something that was mutter, and people can make it assur, right? Like a carbon. That's the main one. That's what the Mishnah said. So Gemara says, "Time damar chulin shaeila." We're now on Yud Gimel Amud Beis by the Gemara. So Gemara says, "Time damar chulin shaeila." Why is it? Now, again, the first line in the Mishnah, I'm sorry, one more hakdama. The first line in the Mishnah says, Chulin is something that's mutter. Chulin is food that everybody eats, right? Everybody could eat chulin. Right? Chulin is plain food. That's chulin. So what kind of neder is that? Chulin is my food, or your food is chulin to me. So time is over.
Chulin to echolak kabasa chazer. The chulin that I eat is like
No.
basa chazer.
That's not. It's ve'elu mutarin. Chulin shaeila.
There's a comma there.
Yeah. Chulin shaeila. That's one case.
Last night.
Okay, but that's kibasar chazir. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so Gemara says, "Time b'damar chulin shaeila." The reason why it's not a neder because he says it's chulin, that the food that you give to me is chulin, which is obviously nothing. Ha'amar li chulin shaeila or la chulin, right? If he says la chulin shaeila, mashma loy lechulin lahavi el lekarban, then it's mashma that your food is not chulin to me, it's a carbon, which means that it's assur, right? So again, the inference is because he says your food is chulin to me. But if he would say la chulin, which would mean not chulin, which means that your food is not chulin to me. So what is it if it's not chulin to me? It's carbon to me.
You said two
So yeah. So that's what the Gemara asks. Money must listen. If that's the case, who's the Tana in the Mishnah? Rameir. If it's Rameir, hales le michlal lav onto today's daf, michlal lav ata shemaya hein. Right? If we said a Rameir says you can't learn out nedarim from anything that could be inferred from a negative to make a positive. So according to Rameir, just because it sounds like he says your food is not chulin to me, that doesn't mean we're going to say that he means that it means that it's carbon, because we can't do an inference that far. Rabbi Yehuda. So what are you going to say? Says Rabbi Yehuda, Hainu Reisha. That's the previous Mishnah, right? Meaning in the first parak that we know that he says la chulin means that it's a neder. We know that's Rabbi Yehuda shita. So who is it? So the Gemara answers, I did Gatani Kabasa Chazir, Kavadis Kachavim, Lachi Gatani Chulin. Really, it didn't have to say Chulin. There's nothing to be learned out of it. Since it said Kibasar Chazir, if a guy makes a koinam like a Basar Chazir, and he makes a koinam Kavadis Kachavim, so we also said Lachi Gatani Chulin. That's why it said Chulin. Right? Meaning once we're saying nedarim that don't work, so the Mishnah decided to pick an easy case that for sure doesn't work, which is if a guy says your food is chulin to me, because that's nothing. That's teretz number one. Teretz number two, Ravina Amar Hachi Ketani. This is what the Mishnah is saying. Ve'elu mutarin ke chulin. That's the way Naphtali wanted to learn the Mishnah. Right? These are what's mutter like chulin. Well, sort of like Naphtali wanted. Meaning chulin it's saying what would be mutter like chulin? Kebasar chazir, kavayis kachavim. Like basar chazir and kavayis kachavim. So when it asks on this teretz, v'ilay tana chulin, and if it didn't learn chulin, havamina, by shaeila, that means you would think that it's not like regular chulin. Meaning, if it's like chulin, again, I made a neder on somebody's food that it's like a basar chazir. So we're saying that it's not. It's like chulin, which means that it's perfectly mutter. Let's say you would not have said in the Mishnah that it's like chulin. We would have just said that, or well, the question is exactly what would the Mishnah have inferred? So Gemara says if you didn't say chulin, you would have thought that you need to still buy shaeila. You'd still need to ask a shaeila, to ask a rabbi to nullify it.
Yeah, if somebody says it's like
No,
Basar
because-
Chaser, why not? Oh, because it doesn't
Because
work.
it's saying that's what the Mishnah is saying. It's mashma that if you wouldn't have said chulin, then you would have thought. Meaning, why are you saying chulin? To tell you it's like regular food. You don't have to go to a rabbi. You don't have to take care of the neder. It's not a legitimate neder finish. Mashma that if you wouldn't have said chulin, you would have thought, yeah. So I'm going to ask, can you really think that? Right? Hasuki means to go up. So do you really think that would be the case? Hamadikatani Seifa. And the Seifa says, if a guy tells his wife that she's like his mother, which means something that has been always assur to him, so really it's not a neder, but we make him open a pesach from someplace else, meaning he needs to have a heter to be able to be together with his wife again. So that says, and in the Seifa, Mechlal, the Reisha loy bo yishein. If you're only saying it in the case of mother, then it's mashma that the case of pig and avodah zara and treifa and all that, you don't even need to do it shaeila. It's just mutter. So how could that be? So how could Ravina be right? Which the Gemara says correct. So then what's clear is like the first teretz, which is the only reason why it said chulin is because it happened to have brought down other cases, so it decided to bring chulin too. Yeah, fine. So now the Gemara asks, finally, after doing a few blot, learning this din that you have to make a neder of something that you can possibly make assur, but not something that's assur intrinsically. Where do we know this din from? So minani mili, how do you know this? So amakra ish ki yidor neder lashem, a double lashon, right? It says a person makes a neder of a neder to Hashem. Had sheyidor bedavar hanoder. So we darshan out that double lashon yidor neder is telling us that you have to make a neder on something that can become assur from a neder. Meaning like a carbon, right? A carbon becomes assur from essentially a neder or a shavua, but usually a neder, meaning an animal, the stami animal in your yard is perfectly kosher to benefit from. Then you decide to make it into a carbon. Now you made a neder on it, and therefore you made the animal assur. So therefore, when you want to make somebody of something else is assur to you, or even if it belongs to you, if you just want to make something assur to you, you also have to use something that becomes assur through a neder, which is a carbon, let's say, but not avodah zarah or mother or treif or anything like that, because that's not assur because of a neder. That's assur because it's assur. Fine. So that's how we know. Because again, from the passuk of ishki yidor neder l'Hashem. So Gemara asks, if that's the case, afilu b'davar assur nami. So even something assur should also, meaning something that's always been assur should also be. Why? Because it also has a double lashon. Taksiv lesor isar al nafshai. That's the end of the passuk. Right, the whole pasuk says ki yidor neder l'Hashem ayishav shua lesser isar al nafshai lo yachal devar kechala yatziv yaser. Right, so it's also in the same pasuk it says yidor neder, and then it says lesser isar. So maybe lesser isar should tell us that you can also make something assur meaning you can make a neder on something that's been assur the whole time because of the double lashon. So Gemara answers no. That we need lesser isar. We need it for something else. Lesser isar we need it to tell you something else, which is Eizer Isser Amud b'Torah. What is the Isser that it says in the Torah, right? And that was the brisa about the guy making a neder about his yard site, about by him not drinking wine and eating meat on his father's yard site that he did a few years ago, etc., etc. So the pasuk's teaching you that those are the types of isurim that can make it into a neder. You see how big the ran is on this 2 lines of Gemara. So so the ran has a little bit of a different way of a much more complicated way, obviously, of explaining this Gemara. All right. Now I don't want you to make a mashma that I understand the ran's way because I really don't. Yeah. So fine. Okay. So that's how we know. But the bottom line is that's how we know that something is assur. Something that's assur, that's always been assur, you can't use as a lashon for a neder. Fine. Then the next, what's the last case in the Mishnah? A guy tells his wife that she's assur to him like his mother. So Gemara asks, Ravina, ask Yistira, Hare ata like kibasar ima. This sounds a little odd. If you touch it straight up, this is a little odd. A guy says to his wife, "You're assur to me like the flesh of my mother." That sounds like cannibalism or something, right? Kibasar achaisi, or like the basar of the flesh of my sister. Ka'arla, like arla, klaya kerem, loyama klum, right? Like we know, because these things are all assur. So now it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean by their flesh. It means that this I saw in the article, and nobody said anything about it. Because I was wondering if Ataka meant like the flesh. I'm not allowed to eat my mother, and I'm not allowed to eat my sister, so therefore I'm not allowed to be with you. Which maybe that's Taka what it means. The article time is no. It means the passuk by Arias calls it a share basari, right? What's the lashon? Ish.
It's called
Share basari, right? So the Gemara for whatever reason is using basar that way. Okay, whichever way you look at it, they've been assur the whole time. So they should be totally assur, right? So that's what the brisa says. Lo yomar klum. It's as if he said nothing. I mean, again, if a guy tells his wife, according to the brisa, the guy tells his wife that you're assur to me like my mother or like my sister or like Arla, Klaya Karam is a vineyard that you planted together with wheat. So you said nothing. Right? So but our Mishnah says that he still has to go to a Rav to be matter the neder. He can't, she just doesn't walk away for free. Right? So it's a stira. Again, the Brisa says it's like nothing. And the Mishnah says, no, you have to do something. So Rabaya, lo yomar klum midiRabanan. What it means when it says he said nothing is minat Torah, you're right. Minat Torah, he said nothing. But shaeila midiRabanan, but you need to go ask a Rava about it. That's a midiRabanan. Why is it a midiRabanan? Right? That's because he. Well, the question is. I don't want to mix it up with the next teretz. But you need to, the reason is because we're afraid that he's going to be nichshel and just make nedarim against his wife and then just continue living with his wife, even though some of the nedarim are legitimate nedarim. Right? Like if he says to his wife, let's say one day he says to his wife, he gets angry at his wife, he says to his wife, oh, you're like my mother. So we know, okay, so that's not a neder. Fine. So then the next day he tells his wife, oh, you're like a korban. That is a neder. But he's going to say, for shalom bayis, the rabbis always let me go. So he's not going to know when it's a proper neder, when it's not. So therefore, we always make him go ask the rabbi. That's the first teretz. Rava Amar. Rava says, Haba Talmud chacham, Haba Talmid chachamim, Haba hamaretz. No, we're going to taka say that by Talmid chachamim, they're not going to need to go ask a Rav, right? Because they're more educated. Yeah, so they'll know all the differences. And one's talking about by an amoretz, right? Because amoretz is not going to know. Amoretz is not going to know this type of din. So therefore, he's going to get confused. Fine, Vatanya, and then we have a brisa to prove this. Neder b'Torah, somebody who makes a neder by the Torah. Lo yamar klum, he said nothing. Right? Which we're going to see on Amud exactly what that means. But he doesn't go off scot-free. If he makes a neder by the Torah, he still has to go ask a shaeila of the chacham. But a Talmud chacham does not have to. So what do we learn from this? We learn from this that the Talmud chacham has a different standard than an amoretz. Right? So that's a proof that we do have different standards of the midiRabanan and amoretz when it comes to nedarim. And again, because the Talmud chacham is going to understand why it is that the neder is not a neder, and the amoretz is not going to know this. That's the basic understanding of it. On Talmud Beis. Now the Gemara tries to explain exactly what's going on here. So Tanya, learn the brisa. Hanoider b'Torah, somebody who makes a neder by the Torah. Now, the Ran here says that this is not even though it uses a lashon of neder, but it's not. The Rosh and the Ran both say that this is really a shavua, not a neder. Right? Here, for whatever reason, the Gemara decides to use the lashon of neder for a shavua. Yeah, and we'll see exactly what the case is. But again, here it's talking about a shavua. So neder b'Torah, somebody makes a shavua by the Torah, right? Meaning, so say, when you have a fight with somebody, I'll swear on a sefer Torah. Right? That's exactly what's going on. Believe it or not, they actually did swearing on a sefer Torah. Right? So he says neder b'Torah, so that's lo yamar klum. He said nothing. Right? But if he says a shavua with what's written in the Torah, then dvarav kayamin. Then he has to keep his word, and it's considered a shavua. But if he makes a shavua by the Torah and what's written in the Torah, then dvarav kayamin, then his words are kayim. So Gemara asks, Katani, so again, there were three cases here in the brisa. First one is he just makes a neder by the Torah, so that's nothing. I'm sorry, the shvua by the Torah, that's nothing, because there's no shvua by a parchment, right? If he says what's written in there, then that's going on Hashem's name that's written in the Torah, so then that's a shvua. If he says in it, meaning in the Torah and what's written in it, then it's also. So the obvious question is, well, if you say what's written in it is a neder, so certainly if you say it and what's written in it is a, I keep saying neder, means shvua, right? I'm saying again, if he says in the middle case that he's making a shvua with what's written in the Torah, that's a shvua. So then the last case, which is he's making a shvua by the Torah and what's written in it.
No, maybe by the fact the second you said by the Torah, it disqualifies everything.
Right, he still made a shvua what's written in the Torah.
He also made it by, which disqualifies.
So why should it? Why?
That's maybe the.
I don't hear that. I mean, I hear what he's saying, but I don't think that that's. Well, either way, the Gemara is asking, "Gatani b'masha kosev b'dvar kayamin, ba b'masha kosev b'tzarach l'meimah." If you're saying just what's written in it is dvar kayamin, ba b'masha kosev, what do you need to say? So Rav Nachman, like kasha, that's not a kasha. Because why? Because the middle case and the last case are talking about two different situations. Oh, the machsa iraisa a'ara. One is talking about where now we can't take this Gemara literally either. Right? It's talking about where the Torah was sitting on the ground. Right? It can't mean that the Torah was actually on the ground. It just means that it was not in his hands. It was on the table. Right? So therefore, when he says Bamasha Kosaba, so then that's enough. One is talking about where it's in his hands, right? So let's see, what does that mean? Machsal ara, if it's on the ground or wherever, not on the table, let's say. So daite agvili, his das is going on the gvil is the parchment, means parchment. So his das is going on the parchment. So there's no, what kind of shvu are you making on parchment, right? So therefore, if he says shekasuv ba, I'm sorry, then that's nothing, because if that's going the on the parchment. But if he says ba, shekasuv ba, then it's going on both. Then that would be considered a shvua. Nakala biyade, but if he is holding the Sefer Torah in his hand, then daita ala skarashaba. When he says masha kasaba, then it's his das is on all Hashem's names that are in there, and therefore the shvua is a proper shvua. Yeah, beiba yisema.
What, Yaakov?
Yeah.
Were you saying that it's not on the ground?
That's what they say.
I thought the Ram and Rashi are both learning, or whatever Rashi is here, they're both learning that it is on the ground. That's why it doesn't work. Because his das, in his mind, he there's no way he can understand that there's anything written in it. So there's nothing written in it, then he's going on the gvil, the parchment.
That's the way the
Rashi says that, but it seems to
yeah,
the Ram
Rashi-
is also
Rashi-
understanding like that.
Rashi says it that way, right?
Yeah, Mashma from the Ran also like that a little bit.
Why is it mashma like that in the Ran?
Because I'm not sure.
He says
The way
Ara. He says Ara, but that's the Gemara's lashon.
right, but he's using it as the reason. Kivan de machsa Ara amrina dedati agvil.
Right.
And then he goes, on what the Torah is written on. That means he there's no understanding in his head that there is any Torah written on it.
Well, the shaila is what's the ikr here, that it's not in his hand, or that it's on the floor, right? So yeah, you're right. Rashi for sure is saying, or whoever Rashi is saying that it's the din is because it's on the floor. Right, the Rosh Stam has a different pshat. Yeah, I thought that was the pshat that we would say. Yeah. Okay, that's. I think the more pashut pshat is this way, right? That if he says, if it was not in his hands, so then. It's going to be ba over masha kosimba, right? It meaning, and it's going to be going on the when he says ba over masha kosimba is going on the gvil, on the parchment, right? And on what's written in there. But nokal biyode, daite ala haskaras shavua. But then it's going on the Hashem's name, and therefore it's considered a legit neder. Yeah, that's one way of learning it. Viba yisema the machsal ara. Right, the whole thing is talking about where it's on the ground. Right, so what's the chiddush? The machsal ara, even though it's on the ground. Again, some learning it's on the ground or that it's just not in his hand. Since he said that's what's written in it, mahani, that helps. And really, yes, you only had to say one case and you didn't have to say the other case, but it goes with the rule that we have throughout Shas, that sometimes the Mishnah or a Brisa decides to say is a zu, and it goes without saying that you don't have to say the second case. That's teretz number 2. Viba yisema kula. So now here's also here. The Bach takes out mitziyasa, because mitziyasa means the middle case, because there's 3 cases here. Here the Bach takes it out. Okay, cool. But kula. So let's go with that. Kula nami. The nakalebi. The whole Bryce is talking about where he's holding it in his hand. What's the chiddush? Given the nakalebi, since he's holding the Torah in his hands, even if he only says ba. So basically what he's saying is that it's the third case is really coming to explain the second case. Right? When he says, when he's holding it in his hands and he says he's making a shavua, ba, it's referring to ba, ma, and masha kasaba. Right? So therefore that's why it's going to be a proper shvua. Yeah, okay. Now, should we just say we did this Mishnah already? Because that's what we did before?
No, because we were all lost.
Hey, okay. Me too, obviously. You were less lost than me.
No, you knew what you were saying.
Okay. Anyways, okay, so let's just start the Mishnah, because tomorrow's daf is a little bit longer in the Nedarim standards, not as long as in 2 days daf, but yeah. So Zok the Mishnah, going back to what we said, Kainem, if a guy makes a shvua, again, not a shvua, I'm sorry, a neder, shani yashan, he makes a neder that he's gonna sleep, meaning he's making a neder against him sleeping. Right? Again, a kainem means I'm not going to do something. That's like the taich of kainem. So he's saying I'm not going to sleep. Shani midaber, he makes a kainem that he's not going to talk, or he makes a kainem shani mahalach, that I'm not going to walk, or ha'imr leisha kainem shani misham sheikh, I'm making a neder that I'm not going to be together with you. Hareza b'bal yachel dvari. These are all going to be in the iser of bal yachel dvari, which means he's not allowed to make his words desecrated, literally, which means he's making his words into Chulin, which means that he's not going to, he's going to be over if he doesn't keep his neder, which we were saying before, that is, and this will be in tomorrow's Daf Hashem. How come here it just doesn't say it's a proper neder? We know that if something's a neder, then if you're over on it, you're over on bal yachel dvari. Isn't that the definition of a neder? So why here is it saying, why does it just say it's a neder? It doesn't do that. It says you're in bal yachel dvari.
Why does it work as opposed to kind of P we had on yesterday's stuff?
Maybe were you asking out shvua?
The shame by Maisa. It's a neder. It's going out something shame by Maisa.
Yeah, so that the Gemara is going to say. That's going to mean we're going to twist it to make it. Hey, I don't know twist it meaning because Gershi's asking, what do you mean? It's not sleep is nothing. That's really a shvua, not a neder. Sleep, talk, walking. I don't know what walking is, right? But these are all nedarim. I mean, but they really sound like shvuas because a neder goes on something tangible. These are not tangibles. Right? So we're going to say it's talking about where he made a shvua against his eyes and against his feet and against, etc. Okay, well, we'll stop here because the next Gemara carries us through it. So there's all these interesting cases of Tanoim and all that type of thing. All right. Have yourselves a fine night.
Thank you.
All right.
No, thank you.
Any reports on the thing? On the elections? Anybody know?